Connecticut is facing a waste crisis. At least officials from the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection have been claiming since 2020. The regional landfill capacity is expected to decrease 40% by 2030. The closure of one of 4 waste-to-energy plants in the state forced Connecticut to increase the amount of trash hauled out of state to landfills in Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Virginia. For those who don't know what a waste-to-energy plant is, a waste-to-energy plant converts municipal and industrial solid waste into electricity and/or heat for industrial processing, and for district heating systems, it's an ecologically sound, cost-effective means of energy recovery. The energy plant works by burning waste at high temperatures and using the heat to make steam. The steam then drives a turbine that creates electricity. What's important about this particular time in Connecticut's history is that about 30 years ago, they made a conscious decision to move away from landfills and make a shift toward waste-to-energy facilities for managing waste that requires disposal rather than recycling, because throughout the years, Connecticut has been managing virtually 100% of our waste through waste-to-energy facilities, but in recent years, that has been declining. Their Hartford plant closed because the cost to operate and maintain it was unsustainable. The money the plant was able to make selling electricity generated from burning trash had been decreasing for some time, while the amount of trash they were processing also fell. Ultimately, it was more cost-effective for the state to shut down the plant than continue supporting its operation. But that shutdown forced municipalities that had been participating in the waste-to-energy program to find other means, and for most, that has meant hauling trash out of state. Where Connecticut was once shipping out 17% of its waste, that number has grown to 40%. Transportation costs and other fees make handling trash like this more expensive than in-state disposal, but with nowhere to put it, those who study the process say the solution is to cut back on the amount of trash Connecticut citizens are generating. Recyclable packaging makes up the majority of what is placed into residential recycling bins, and much of that is made up of paper products like Amazon shipping boxes. Also at issue are food wrappers, which often cannot be recycled due to contamination and plastic clamshells. Plastic packaging has become a major point of contention for environmentally conscious consumers. Recent reports have detailed how most of the plastic packaging has little to no market in the recycling stream and ends up in landfills, despite consumer efforts. Now, medical supplies are a major industry that has benefited from plastics. But for most plastics, there is no way to recycle it long term, so the question should be how much plastic should be manufactured. Major manufacturers should be thinking of a better recyclable material for their packaging to ease the amount plastics being reused. The general idea is that manufacturers would be held financially responsible for disposing of or recycling the waste associated with their products. Ultimately, the state's goal should be to incentivize companies to reduce the amount of waste they create. This would increase recycling rates to 75 or 80% and potentially remove up to 190,000 tons per year of material from the waste stream into the recycling stream, which would help to reduce the waste. Most of those opposing this idea believe that Connecticut's current recycling system is not only adequate, but ranks among the best in the nation. State leaders estimate around 22% of all trash is made up of compostable food and yard scraps that could be reduced if they were separated at the source, meaning the residents' homes. The state legislature has made $10 million in grant funding available to fund pilot programs in 18 municipalities. These programs create source-separated collection through colored bags. One color would be used to collect compostable materials like food scraps and yard waste, while another color collects everything else. Both bags could then be thrown together into their trash bin and collected curbside to be separated by bag color at the facility. Failure to address this mounting trash crisis has several anticipated consequences, including increased flooding, growing pollution in waterways, and increases in greenhouse gases and toxic. However, the biggest focus for residents is the cost. Trash fees in some towns are going up to more than $100 per ton of trash, which is why those in charge of the municipal refuse programs that want to divert as much recyclable material as possible from the system. The education is the most important factor for residents who want to recycle but don't because of information and understanding. For those who want to do their part to cut down on trash and keep materials in a cycle of use, it can be complicated, and even those in charge of administering these programs admit that they have only figured out how to simplify the process so much. West Hartford, Connecticut leaders are exploring potential changes to the way residents dispose of trash, considering the waste crisis that's happening. Town Council is weighing the decision of whether to keep the status or to adopt a new waste disposal system, such as unit-based pricing, to reduce the total tonnage of trash in the town's waste system. Leaders have been exploring potential changes following the closure of a Hartford trash incinerator, and as increasing amounts of waste is being shipped out of state to be put in landfills. West Hartford's Public Works Department will examine the logistics of implementing a unit-based pricing system. Unit-based pricing was first proposed in West Hartford in 2016, but subsequently dropped due to significant resistance from the community. West Hartford was one of 15 municipalities and 3 regional groups in Connecticut to receive funding for the pilot, announced in 2022. Currently, the optional pilot program has a 46% participation rate, but accounts for 1.35 tons of food scraps diverted from the waste system each week, coming out to about 71 tons a year. If the pilot program is expanded town-wide, participation would become mandatory, food scrap collection would be expanded to all homes, and the town would provide residents with unit-based pricing starter bags. The town's current contract for waste management expires at the end of the current fiscal year. West Hartford could be facing an increase of 15 to 20% in tip fees. Now, most practical solution for the crisis is very simple. Nearly a quarter of the waste the state produces is food scraps. If they add other organics like cut grass or leaves, 34% of waste is organic. They can send organics to an anaerobic digester known as an industrial composter to be converted into energy. Composting is the natural process of allowing organic material to decompose into nutrient-rich soil. Anaerobic digestion speeds up the composting process by removing oxygen from the environment and capturing the biogas that is produced. The biogas can be converted into electricity, heat, and more. The process also produces a byproduct called digestate, which can be used as fertilizer or for animal bedding. Organics diversion is possible with source separation, just as we do with recycling. That means residents would be provided with a color-coded bag specifically for organics. When combined with a unit-based pricing system, residents might pay a smaller fee for an organics bag than for a regular trash bag. Throughout the week, residents would put food waste into the organics bag and the rest of their trash in the other colored bag. There are a few different ways the program could work. One way is for a town or hauler to have separate trucks pick up trash first and then organics, bringing them to their respective destinations. A more efficient strategy is called co-collection, where a single truck takes both colored bags to a sorting facility. At the sorting facility, the bags are tipped onto a floor where workers or an optical scanner separate them by color. Once the organic bags are separated, they can be sent to a commercial composting operation or to an anaerobic digester.